So guys, today we're going to be looking at the Cisco Nexus platform, and it's going to be a bit of an advanced course, I would suggest. Not advanced, intermediate course. So probably not for absolute beginners, and it's not going to be too advanced, but you will need to have a background in like routing and switching to really get the most out of this course. And this is because when you go to a lot of these job interviews, they're like, oh, have you got routing and switching? And then hit Cisco Nexus, and a lot of people are like, oh, I won't go for that job because I've got no experience on Cisco Nexus. This course is for you guys. Guys, I have a request from you. If you're enjoying the free content, I'm looking to increase my subscriber count to 4,000 subscribers by June. But I can only do that if you give me the Play Special. Do you want to know what the Play Special is? Press like and subscribe. Okay, back to the video. So let's have a look at the topology that we're going to be working at. At first, we're going to be looking at just the basics, the Cisco Nexus fundamentals. And this is the topology that we're going to be working with. We have our Cisco Nexus, and it's connected to a switch, and then we have 3 hosts on the other end. And I do have our Nexus currently open. And when you first open up a Nexus, what you'll see is that you'll get to this page where it's trying to do power on auto provisioning, which I'll call POPE. And that's similar to like zero touch provisioning, where you can get a lot of the configuration as soon as you plug up the switch into a network. If you have like a DHCP server, it will get its DHCP and it will pull its config from a Linux server, and you won't have to touch it at all. All you basically will have to do is plug it into the rack. It's going to pull its IP address automatically and pull the config automatically. It will be based on its MAC address. And this is something that we will look at the very end of this course, because if we do that now at the beginning, then there's probably no point in learning all of the configuration, because you'll just be thinking, I could just use POPE. So we're going to skip that for now. And this is something I will come back to. And it is a very powerful tool to use if you can get it right. It does have some caveats, and there are some settings that you have to be aware of, but it is a very, very powerful tool. All right, let's get back to our fundamentals. When you log in, I've just typed in skip there to skip the POPE configuration, and we're waiting to get a login prompt. As it said, this may take 5 to 15 minutes, but I doubt it'll take that long. Maybe the longest I've ever had to wait is like 40 to 50 seconds. Here we go. And when you first log it into the Cisco Nexus, the password is admin. The login is admin and the password is just null. So you just press enter here. And we're in the switch configuration. The first thing that I want to do, I just want to show you any command. So I'll put in terminal color. And the terminal color command is, if you see here, if the command is correct, this prompt here will turn green. If it's incorrect, it will turn red. And when you're doing your typing, it will do blue, which is just something. It's not really anything special, but I like it. It gives it a nice visual effect. And if I use the WR command that we used to use before on Cisco iOS switches, we'll find that this command is no longer eligible. So you can't just put a write command in to copy the config. It will say it's incomplete. And at the end of this, there's an erase, which obviously we want to copy the command. We don't want to copy the configuration. We don't want to erase it. So the new command is copy. Not new, it's the same on normal Cisco, but the command to save the configuration is copy run start, which we can abbreviate to copy RS. But again, we're going to come up with an issue here because we don't have a password configured. So let's do that. Conf T. Our configuration has turned green, which our prompt has turned green, which means that it's been accepted. And we're going to say username admin, password admin, copy RS. We don't need any do commands or anything. You could run it from privilege or configuration mode. So that has saved that config, but I want to show you something if we were to actually reboot the system. Let's do that. Reload. And this is an issue that a few people have come up with. A few people have seen, and we're going to show you how to eradicate that issue now. So sometimes when you reload the system, you find it, you get dropped into a loader prompt. Now to get out of the loader prompt, we need to say directory. We look in the directory to find out our image. We can see that our image is a Nexus 9.3.3.3 bin. So we're going to say boot from our image. Oh, okay, Nexus dot 9.3.3.bin. And this will boot, I've done double dot, sorry. So let's try that again, boot from nexus.9.3.3.bin. And this will enable us to boot from that boot flash image. So if you ever get dropped into the loader prompt, that is the way to get over it. Now this is going to have to do the whole loading process again. So I'll probably fast forward this part of the video to get to the configuration stage again, the login page. So let's just run the video at 2x speed. Okay, we can see we're now back at that login screen. So admin, and our password this time is admin because we saved that. The first thing I noticed that this terminal color command has disappeared because we're back to a standard black and white prompt here. So to make that terminal color actually withstand the reload, what we need to say is terminal color. We need to use the persist keyword on the end. Now if we do a copy run start, the terminal color command will stay. But before I do that, let's do some of the configuration. The first thing I want to do is change the host name of the switch. Now we could use it the traditional way of using the host name command, and that will work. But there's an additional command that we could use, which is the switch name command, which will also work. Let's call it RC Nexus this time to see the commands different. And host name or switch name, they perform the same function. All right. So after this, we also want to change our banner. Now we can't change this banner here, which is the Cisco standard banner. No matter what we do, that's going to persist. But what we can do, we can change the banner when we first log into the device, and then before we get to this switch prompt. And the first thing that we want to do is, the banner is called the message of the day. You would usually just copy this into a notepad to put anything here. We need a delimiting character. Let's use a star. Oh, no, I don't want a star. Let's use ampersand. And let me just say star, star, star. Oh. Let's say stars, make it look a bit neat. Welcome to Router Coaches Nexus switch. Let's just finish that off. And this will come up before we log into the switch. That's the banner of the day, and to complete that we use the same delimiting character, which was the ampersand here. And we can also do an exec banner. So if we say banner exec and use the ampersand again, let's say something, sorry. Be careful before logging into this switch. Will fit? Well, not really, but it doesn't matter. Let's use some stars to finish that off. All right, let's copy that. I won't do another reload, but I will probably exit or log out. Maybe it's a log out command. All right. So we see that before the login, we say, welcome to Router Coaches Nexus switch. This is the message of the day banner. And once we log in, we're going to have to be quick to catch this. Oh, not quick enough. And then we will say, be careful before logging into this switch. Be careful before logging into this switch. And this is the exec banner. But unfortunately, we cannot get rid of this standard warning from Cisco. All right, so we've got our persistent color, and we've also got our banner message of the day. I'll probably also have a look at the system time. So if I do a show clock, now it's saying a couple of things here. It's saying it's 15:39, which is actually it's 16:40. It's 4:40 in the afternoon for me. Friday, June the 24th is correct. Using UTC, which I'm in GMT. So that's something I want to change, and the source time is NTP, and we're not connected to an NTP server. So there's a few things I would like to change here, and to do any changes, what I will need to do, I have to do a conf t. The first thing I want to do is get rid of this time source is NTP. So I'll say clock protocol is that the correct command? Yeah, clock protocol none. For VDC, what VDC? It should be VDC1, but let's have a look at that. Show VDC. Yeah, we're in VDC1. So clock protocol none for VDC1. All right, and we can also set the time from here. So if I say clock set, and the time I said was 16:40, it's now 16:42. 16:42, let's just say no seconds. It is the 24th of June 2022. Clock sir, no, clock set I want. Alright, and we can see now that the time is showing as Friday, June the 24th, 16:42. It's still saying UTC, but our clock protocol has disappeared, which is what I want. So to set the time zone, I can say clock time zone and GMT. I don't think GMT is actually listed, but it should take it if I put some bits at the end. And now if I say show clock, we can see that the time source has changed to the hardware calendar, which is the internal calendar of the device. Our time zone is GMT. We have the correct time, 16:42, and the correct date. Excellent. All right. The other thing I want to actually set up is the reason why I've got a couple of, well, 3 hosts connected. And when you set up individual users, you can set up certain parameters. But to be able to set up an individual user first, you need to set up SSH. So if I was to say, and you set that up by running the feature SSH command. So let me just remove that. No feature SSH. XML interface to system A become available since SSH is disabled. Okay, let me copy that configuration in case there's a restart. And I'm going to set up 3 SSH users. So if I say username, first one will be called Ibrahim. Password, they could all have the same password, just going to have different names and different privileges as well. P4SS. Just set it like this. Now on the Nexus, you set roles. Now the default role, it's like when you had on normal iOS, you had privilege levels where privilege 15 is the top. Here you have roles, and the default role for the default VDC is network admin, I think it is. Network admin, yeah. So I'm going to set Ibrahim as the network admin. Another user, I will, password not printed, okay, maybe I have to type it out. So the next one we'll call him Steve. Same password. But I'm going to leave him as default. And the last one I'm going to call Graham. I'm actually going to leave him as default as well. Now let's see what will happen if I try to SSH to the Nexus from one of the hosts. So if I jump onto host 1, I need to actually give it an IP address. So if I say enable, show IP interface brief, what? Okay, so they're in the 10.1.1.1 network. If I jump onto the Nexus and say show IP interface brief. We can see that no interfaces are listed, but if I say show int brief, yeah, we've got all our interfaces listed, but administratively down. I think they're connected on Ethernet 1/1/1. So let's do the configuration there first. For E1/1, the IP address is 10.1.1.10/24. No shut. Copy RS. Beautiful. Can we ping that? Ping 10.1.1.10. First one is ARP, and it is pingable. Now let's see if we could try to SSH to the box. SSH using Ibrahim. So -L Ibrahim to 10.1.1.10, and let's see what happens. The connection is closed, and that's because SSH has to be enabled on the Nexus to be able to access it. So let's do that enablement now. If I say feature SSH, I'm going to set the SSH keys, SSH key. We're going to set it as 2048, SSH RSA key, 2048, I think it's like this. Cannot configure a run SSH key without force, as the config is already existing. Okay, let's run force then. So we forced it to use the SSH key of 2048. Let's see what happens when we try to log in now. So we've enabled the feature, we've given it an SSH key, and yes, we've got a password, and you see that we have our message of the day banner here coming up. Our password was password. And we've managed to log on to the Nexus. I wonder if terminal color will work here. Yes, it will. Okay, that is excellent. So show users, we can see that we have an admin user and we have Ibrahim. There are a few additional config parameters that I would like to use for SSH. So the first one, I only want you to be able to try your SSH password, let's say 3 times. If you get it wrong 3 times, then you get kicked out. So I think it's here. If I say session, what? Session domain lookup? That is not what I'm looking for. Maybe it's SSH session. SSH, no. Okay, 1 second. Let me have a think. I wonder if it's a system command. So system. I don't remember doing it like this. System security. No, it's definitely like that. Alright, I can't remember the command off the top of my head. I'll have to look for it. I thought it was a session command. Maybe it's not in exec mode. Let me try it under the line VTY then. So under line VT1, let me say session limit. Okay, so this is something different. This is how many people could be logged in at the same time. So if I was to say 3 here, we've already got admin and we've already got Ibrahim connected. Only one more person would be able to log in before no one else. So let's test that. And also even this terminal color command. This terminal color command is only available to Ibrahim because Ibrahim is a network admin. So we use Steve's login here. So SSH -L Steve to use 10.1.1.10. I wonder if I could just put the password in here. No, okay. Password. And Steve has managed to log on, even though Steve no longer has access to this terminal color command. Permission denied because we haven't assigned Steve as a network admin. If we use show users over here, we can see we've got admin, Ibrahim and Steve. Now let's open it up for the last user, who is Graham. And Graham has the exact same rights as Steve. The only issue is Graham was a bit late to the party. Alright. I'm very surprised it allowed. Oh, it didn't allow him. And the reason is the limit has been reached. We set a session limit of 3. It would have been 4 people on with admin Ibrahim, Steve and Graham. So it kicked Graham off. Another thing that we could actually do here under the line VTY is the exec timeout command. The default is 30 minutes, I think it is, and then it will kick out a user. If we use 0, then it will never kick them out, which obviously isn't the best. But if I say something like 5, then after 5 minutes, if these users have got no activity, it will kick them out. I'm trying to look for this other command off the top of my head. I was pretty sure it was a session command. Maybe I'll have to do it. Let me try it one more time. Service show. Let me see if it's a system command. System. I don't remember it being a system command at all. Okay, I'll have to, if I find it, I'll have to put it into the next actual video. But that's it for the fundamentals of Cisco Nexus. We've seen how to add an IP address. We've looked at this terminal color command. We've also looked at the loader prompt, SSH into the box. I'll see you in the next video.